Hi gang, I'm Matt Newton. You know, it's always a good feeling when someone calls me on the phone or writes me a letter or a card and says that something that I had said or done improved their life. It really is. It's a good day. It makes you feel great. And that's the reason I'm doing this particular video blog right now. Is I got a card in the mail today that said, Mr. Newton, one of the things that you said in one of your video blogs literally changed my life. And earlier today, I was thinking to myself, you know, I'm just going to blow it off today because I got Taekwondo in a half an hour. I thought, I want to save my energy for that. But it just filled me full of appreciation just for the ability to have that sort of impact on someone. So, thank you. Frequently when I'm talking to people about fitness, it might not be in a business context, but sometimes they'll say, you know, I would work outdoor. I just don't have time. I just don't have the time. What they're really saying to me is not that they don't have time. What they're really saying is that their overall health is not that important to them. Here's why. There's always enough time for the important things. And there's always enough time for the trivial things. But there's never enough time for the important things and the trivial things. Most people spend most of their time doing the trivial things. What are trivial things? Trivial things are things that are easy, that are fun, that really don't make a big impact on your life. All right? Things that are important are things that are, come on in, John, have a seat right over there.
Yes, sir.
Sit down right there, John.
Yes, sir.
Things that are important are things that are usually challenging. Things that are usually harder. There's always enough time to do the things that are important. Never enough time to do the things that are hard. Sometimes the ability to distinguish between what's important and what's trivial is a life skill in and of itself. Because sometimes the universe plays tricks on you. It makes you think trivial things are important things. You know what, John?
Yes, sir.
If you had a large jar sitting right here, I mean about a 5 or 10 gallon jar, and let's say I had a bunch of boulders about the size of this picture album right here, a bunch of big rocks, and I fill that jar with those big rocks. All right. So whenever I give this example, I'll say I fill that jar with the big rocks. Is the jar now full? Well, of course the jar is not full. No, it's not. Because, of course, now I can take some gravel, like pea gravel or half-inch gravel, and I can pour it on the top of that large jar. That gravel will filter its way down through the bottom, and it'll fill in some of the spaces and crevices in the jar until it overflows at the top. So you look again and you say, is that jar full? No, it's not full, because I can get some sand. You know, some of that fine sand that you might find on the beaches in Brazil or in Hawaii, that sand that pours like water pours. I mean, really, really fine. So you can get that sand and you can pour that over the top, all right? And it fills in even more of the crevices and even the smaller spaces that you'll find in between the big rocks and the gravel. So now, fills it right to the top, overrun. Is it full now? Okay, you got to figure it out now, right? Of course. No, it's not full. You know, and there's another way. There's still some spaces in there. It's not full. So we can take some water, right? Oh, you know, when it waters, water seeks its own level. Water is insidious, man. It's going to fill in every little spot. I mean, if there's only one little crack in your ceiling and the rain runs on, it'll find it. But when it comes down and drips on your head, the crack may have been way over the other side of the house. But that water would have found its way. So every little crevice and every little hole inside of that jar that's not occupied with a big rock, gravel, or sand will be then occupied by water. So you keep pouring the water up and finally it overflows. Yes, so you say, is it full now? Well, of course it's full. Now, there are some people who like to be argumentative, and I don't know, maybe they're just, I'm not sure exactly what plant they're from, but they'll say, well, no, you can always dissolve something in the water. Well, you know, the schools I went to, that meant that I was displacing some of the water that was already there. Of course it's full. It's full now. So what's the moral of the story? Well, conventional thinking tells us that the moral of the story is that no matter where you think, even when you think it's full, it's not. Now, that's not the moral of this story. The moral of this story is you better get the big rocks into that jar first if you want to get them in. Because you can always fill that jar full of gravel, full of sand, or water. And it'll be full, but you will not have your big rocks in. And that's what we're talking about today. There's always time to do the important things, but not time to do the important things and the trivial things. In our instance, when we had already put our big rocks in the jar was full. That's right. For our practical purposes, jar is full. Why? Because that's what we want to get done. We're not really interested in doing the trivial thing because that's just easy and fun. Only when we have the difficult or challenging hard things that are important do we ever want to turn our attention to the trivial things. But most people, because it's fun and it's easy, but sometimes you can spend all day doing it, you'll actually think you've got some work done. But inside of your soul, in your heart, you know you really haven't got anything important done. All the big rocks are still sitting there littering your path. All the big rocks are still there in the way. Still there waiting and calling out for you to be done. Some people never get around to doing the big rocks in all of their lives. They spend their entire lives immersed in the trivial. And so they never, even though they may potentially have the possibility of greatness within them, it'll never show itself because they're continually involved with the trivial, the easy, the fun, until it becomes their way of life. And anything that represents importance, in other words, by being challenging and hard, will immediately turn them off. But we always have time to do what's important. But we always have time to do what's trivial too. We never have time to do the important and the trivial both. Your job is to be able to discern what is important. You know, in the state of Illinois, in order to pass at least it was at one time, it may not be now, but in the state of Illinois, in order to pass an exam to sell stocks and bonds, to be a trader, you have to pass a 100-question test. And even if this is not true, it still sounds good, okay? It still sounds good. So you have to pass a 100-question test. But you have the answers for each question. You get 5 answers. And all of those 5 answers are correct. Your job is to select the most right answer. Okay? All of the answers are right. You've got to select the one that is most right. So in this instance, all the other 4 are wrong. And that's the way life is as we go through, in terms of determining what is or is not important. See, what's right or most important now as you go through life depends upon your experience and your knowledge and the things that you're exposed to. So, what was important to you when you were 5 is not important to you now that you're 20 or 25 or 18. So as you go through life and gain experiences, what is important is now changing. So you've got to be able to discern between, not just because, well, you know what, that was important at one time. Yes, but it's not most important. Oh, that was right at one time. Yes, but it's not most right now. The better you become, the more that is expected of you in terms of discerning what is important and what is right. You now have to choose the answer that is most right. Even though that was right, sure was, but it doesn't get you to pass that test. You must be able to choose the one that is most right. So as you go through life, you now must be able to discern what is most important. And that sometimes becomes the differences between those who are successful and not. Those who are achieved and those that are not. Those to which we will place responsibilities in, and those we don't trust. And not only that, but even the best of those now are kind of like a great typist, or a great guitarist, or a great piano player. You know what they're able to do? They're not only able to select the most important note, because there are several ways on a guitar fretboard that I can play a C major 7. But in particular for this song, there's going to be one C major 7 that is going to be most right. All the others are right. They're all C major 7s, but they don't sound as good as one. If I'm playing Fly Me to the Moon, well, one C major 7 is going to sound most right. So I want to be able to play that. And not only that, but musicians and certain people, maybe golfers, are able, even though they're playing one shot, they're thinking several shots ahead. They're able to see what's going to be important next week or next month. And they can set themselves up to make that decision even in advance. They're able to prepare themselves for an important event even before it arrives. They're able to anticipate it. And these are the true visionaries and the true geniuses of our time that we depend upon to take us to a higher level, because they're thinking ahead. It's like a point guard on a fast break on a basketball court. He's dribbling down the court and he sees the whole floor, and he wants to give the ball to the forward over here, but he wants to give the ball to that forward when that forward only has one choice: to give it to this person or give it back to him. He doesn't want to give that forward with multiple choices, because he sees, I want the ball to him, to there, to him, back to me, I put it in the basket. He sees all of these shots in advance. He sees all of those things. Come in, Steve, stand right over there. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Are you understand what I said, John?
Yes, sir.
So he doesn't give that other player any other choices but one.
Yes, sir.
And he brings it right back. And boy, it looked like an orchestrated play. It was smooth. Bingo, the ball's in the basket, and everyone goes, how talented. What we were looking at was major decision-making going on there. A person who was doing the important thing at the right time. And not only that, but being able to predict and even set up what will be important for someone else, even beyond themselves. There you have it. As I said, there's always enough time to do the important things. There's never enough time to do the important things and the trivial things. Most people who are unsuccessful spend their time with the trivial many instead of the important few. And by the way, let me just finish on this. The important things are never many. There's always just a few of them. And the trivial seems to go on forever. There's a lot of that. Okay? There's a lot of that. My name is Matt Newton. We'll see you soon. You guys take care.